Hi everyone, it's Tami, and today let's talk. Let's talk about some of the issues that are going on and how you can handle them. It's going to be a long summer this year, especially since school let out in March, so it's just kind of long. So what I wanted to do is talk about some of the things that keep going on regarding you guys asking questions and getting answers to those questions, such as when a school district tells you that they want to put your kid in an RTI program and then they don't give you any information as to how they came to those conclusions. So what I want to discuss today is what kind of questions you can ask, which is any question you want. School districts like to, if you ask them a question, for a service or something, they will say to you, we don't do that here. And so that's a violation because they do that here. But what you have to respond with is, could you put that in writing? You have to ask them how they came to their conclusions. You have to ask them, what did they rely on to come to their conclusions? And I don't want you guys to be afraid of asking questions. After all, we do live in America, and that's one of the great things about this country, is that we can challenge authority. We can ask questions of authority. It doesn't matter that it's the principal or the SPED director or the school guidance counselor or the teacher. It just doesn't matter. If they don't have the answers, they better go get them, because they're supposed to have the answers to questions that you're asking. You're the parent. Okay, your kid is going to school. So anything that has to do with your kid's education, the teacher, the principal, the guidance counselor, the special ed director, and the school superintendent should all be able to answer a parent's question regarding their child's education. And if they don't, you need to question why they don't. Okay, so for instance, something just happened to me. And this gentleman put into an email that he's following compliance. And that's all he put. He just put compliance. So I said to him in an email, what is compliance exactly? What does that mean? Where are you getting that from? And so he had to respond to me because I put him on the spot. He thought all he had to do was just put that word compliance in there and I would just go away quietly. Clearly he doesn't know me. I ask questions of everybody, okay? I don't care who you are. I just don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Nobody's more important than me. That's the way I look at it. Just because you have a title really doesn't mean much to me because you have to prove yourself to me. For instance, there are people here where I live, there are teachers down the street that are making $90,000 a year. $90,000 a year to educate children. So, or $78,000 or $80,000 a year in a regular ed classroom. I mean, that doesn't happen in most colleges, never mind a public school setting. And their excuse is that their teachers, they get the cream of the crop. Okay, so we have their resumes, we have their credentials, and let me tell you, there's nothing on any of this paperwork that indicates that these people should be getting paid that much money. You see, the reason why we know this is because we asked questions. See, they didn't want to give it to us. As a matter of fact, the parent asked for this information from the school district, from the SPED director, and the SPED director says, we don't have to give that to you. Haha, yes you do. And the reason why you do is because you're a public entity. My taxes pays your salary and everybody that works for that school. Therefore, every little piece of information regarding the teachers, their salaries, all of that is a matter of public record. Therefore, when we asked for it, they should have gave it to us. But no, they didn't. They made us go to another entity. Cool. We did that. Now we have the documents. Now we're going to create a Facebook page. Now I'm going to put that on the Facebook page. Because I don't understand how a teacher is making $90,000 a year or $80,000 a year in a public school system that if you go to the Main Street stop sign and you stop, you've missed the entire town. That's how teensy it is. You see, people don't know that these people are making that much money. And all they have is like a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. It's not like they have a bachelor's degree with specialized training in reading, a specialization in reading, okay, where they got actually a degree in that, and they have certification in that. Or if they're in psychology, they have a specialty. They specialize in ABA, which is what I'm going to school for, which is what my master's is going to be on. I'm going to have a psychology degree, specialization in ABA. Therefore, I have the formal training, okay, regarding ABA when I get my master's. You see, ask questions, because when you ask questions, now you know all about the players. See, now we know all about the players. Then we dug deeper, okay, because something just wasn't ringing right here in good old Pennsylvania, okay? So we found out that they have this little club, for all intents and purposes. It's called the Intermediate Unit. And what it is in this crazy state, they've decided that when the school districts apply for the grant money for IDEA, that the school districts give all of that money, all of the school districts in this town, in this city. In this state. They give all that money to this organization who provides them with people to provide services to kids with special needs. Except for one thing, we have also a copy of their contract with this one particular school district. And guess what it doesn't have in there? Anything about IDEA. Not one word about IDEA, for which they got the money. See, now we're asking questions. We're asking questions of OSEP. How is this possible? Because you see, we dug a little deeper. And now there's this thing under the law that's called the Interagency Agreement. You see, under the interagency agreement, any organization that's receiving funds, federal funds, or they're a state agency, okay, that has to do with children, they have to sign this thing called an interagency agreement, which means these people are signing this document, these organizations, these departments these state departments, and they're actually signing it saying that they will agree to implement IDEA, and if they don't, that the parents and the school district have recourse when they fail to deliver the services that they are agreeing to provide. Or, for instance, in one instance, a doctor with a PhD decided that the child didn't need to be evaluated for Section 504. He just decided to skip all of that because the mother walked in with a diagnosis. Somewhere in the law, this gentleman with a PhD in psychology decided that the school district, the organization that he worked for, where up until a week ago we thought he was an actual direct employee of the school district, we didn't ask any questions. We didn't know that all of the people that evaluated this child worked for this entity. Yeah, the intermediate unit. We didn't know that because we didn't ask questions. You see, when you don't ask questions, you're behind the 8 ball. You have to ask questions about everything. Okay? Just like me and the guy in compliance. Yeah. And just like us, 504 says to put a child on a 504 plan, you must evaluate. Just like IDEA says, in order to put a kid on an IEP, you must evaluate first. This is not rocket science. For these people to follow the letter of the law. But if we don't ask questions of them, guess what? We're just assuming they're doing their job. And right now in our country, we can't assume not one public entity in the entire United States is actually doing their job on behalf of us. They're not. It's all over the news. They're not. They're not doing in the public schools. And a hot news flash for you, for everybody. We don't even know if any of our kids are going back to the public school system. We don't know. Not in the fall. We know this for a fact. The death rate for COVID-19, which the 19 stands for when the COVID came about, and that was in 2019. Okay? Just so everybody knows that, because some people don't know that. But anyway, we don't know what's going to happen in September, okay? We have to be prepared. One thing I do know, IDEA is not going anywhere. I know that. And as long as a school district is providing virtual education, the idea is still implemented. Okay? All of it, not parts of it, not selected few, no, all of it. Okay? Now, one of the things that a lot of parents could have done last year was, because of the COVID-19, what school districts should have done is contacted all of the parents and asked them, what do you want to do about this IEP considering COVID-19 and we're homeschooling? Okay, so what do you want to do? And then they would have said, parents would have said, what do you mean? Well, we could amend the IEP. Okay, now you have to be careful with that little amendment, because these schools will take out services like they're crazy under the pretense that it has to do with COVID-19. And if that happened to you, you need to file a complaint, because according to OSEP's letter, as long as the school is open for business, they have educators providing services to kids, special education, they're providing hearings, and they're investigating complaints. As long as all that's going on, guess what? They have to answer your questions. All of them. All of that's going on. The reason why asking questions is so important is because it helps you to make an informed decision about your child's education or whatever the school district is proposing. Okay? For instance, if the school district is proposing to amend your kid's IEP due to COVID-19, they have to put that in writing. Okay? It's a proposal. They have to put it in writing. They have to put it in writing under 34 CFR 300.503. And they have to tell you all the whys and what fors, and they just can't say, well, COVID-19, bite me. Bite me with that COVID-19 stuff, okay? You have to provide my kid with an education. I don't want to hear it. We've talked about this before, everybody. We've talked about how everything can be done online. Everything. I mean, everything is being done online. The only thing we're not doing is eating online. I mean, everything else we're doing online. We're having meetings online. People are talking to each other online. Everything, business is being run online. Schools are providing an education online, both higher ed and public school systems. Private schools are doing the same thing. So, I don't want to hear it. If your kid needs speech and language, the speech and language pathologist can give it over online. Okay? OT, online. Everything can be done online. If the school district is saying, well, we want you guys to do some of this stuff, really, I need that in writing. Okay? You're not going to tell me that I denied FAPE to my own kid. I can't deny FAPE because I never signed a contract. And that's another thing. When a school district tells you that you have to do something or you're denying FAPE, you tell them to put it in writing and give it to you. Give you that law, because there's not one word on 307 pages of the idea, not one word, not one paragraph, not one sentence in all of the pages of ideas says that the parent is responsible for providing FAPE to their children. Free, appropriate public education has nothing to do with you people, except that your kid goes to school to go get FAPE. That's it. School districts can't hold you accountable for the denial of FAPE. You can't deny FAPE to deny FAPE means that you signed the contract with the state and with the feds for IDEA. You didn't. Okay? The contract between the school district and the Department of Education for the IDEA money clearly states that the school district will provide FAPE to the kid. Doesn't say the school district and the parent. That's a contract. Doesn't say it. The one that the state signs and fills out the grant to give to the feds, nothing in there. There's no line on there for parents to sign that contract. Those two contracts say some stuff. It gives all of the regulations that the school district must adhere to as a condition upon receiving the money. The public school gets it from the state, and the state gets it from the feds. The state gets it from the feds to give to the public schools. Okay? This was all because I asked questions. You see, one question leads to another one. All right? This is what you guys have to do. Now, this is a perfect time to ask these questions now, for the record. When I say ask questions, what I mean is send an email. That's what I mean. I mean, send an email. I don't mean pick up the phone and ask a question. I mean, put your question in writing. That's what I mean. When a school district tells you no for anything, for the provision of FAPE, which could be anything. The provision of FAPE could be equipment that you want for your kid, a computer. It could be a slant board. It could be preferential seating. It could be anything that helps your kid access the general curriculum. Accessing the general curriculum is FAPE. Okay, that's FAPE. So it could be FAPE. It could be an evaluation. It could be the category that they put your kid in. Okay, it could be about a placement. All right. So if it's any one of those four things and the school district is coming to you, they have, and they're saying we're proposing any of this, they have to put it in writing. And there's specific questions they have to answer in order for you to provide them with consent, informed consent. Okay. So when they make the proposal, they got to answer all of these questions, and all of these questions are going to be posted below. Okay. So that you can copy and paste them in your emails to the district when you ask the questions, okay? Because these questions are perfect for you guys to ask them. And it's a perfect tool for you guys to use. So when you're asking a question, you know you covered everything, okay? Anything that you need to know about a specific thing that you want for your kid, if you ask these questions, the district has to give it to you. All you have to do is cut and paste the questions and put them in an email and say, I want this. Now, if the school district says no, that's when you copy and paste these questions and you send them the email, because they're not going to give you prior written notice. And they're not even going to realize that what you just asked for was prior written notice. Okay? When a school district wants to propose or they're refusing to act upon your request, and the four areas that I named: provision of FAPE, FAPE, the category, the disability category, placement, or I forgot the other one. It's four. But anyway, I already said them. So anyway, if the district asks you about any one of those four things, okay, and they're either proposing to do any evaluations, if they're proposing to do refusing, they have to answer questions. They can't just say no. I keep telling you guys that. And I keep going back to this. When they say no, you say why. How come? When they say no, you tell them, what did you rely on to come to those conclusions, to that decision? What documents do you have? And I want a copy of them. All of the documents that you people used to tell me no. That's what you do. That's a question. You want all those documents. So when they tell you no, you ask, I want this service. They say no, we're not going to give it to you. And a lot of schools are just saying no. Now you stick it to them. Now you copy and paste what I'm going to put below in an email to them, and you say, on such and such a date, I requested this, this, and this. You said no. And these are the questions I want. Why? And you just put why next to each one of the questions. Why? What? And the questions are there. When you look at these questions, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. It says, the school district, what did the school district rely on in making their decision to refuse to give you what you wanted? And then it lists all of the things that they could have used, and then some. Okay? It says, who was involved in that decision-making process? You want to know. Because you weren't. They just said no and walked away. There was no meeting. You made a request. You proposed something. And they said no. There was no meeting. There were no people. There were no documents to look at. There was just a question and then a response. And that's it. That's all it was. That's all we have here. Okay? Asking questions is your paper trail. You always have to have a paper trail. Okay? No paper trail, no case. No case, you still get the same thing over and over and over again. At least with the paper trail, you let them know that you have the paper trail when you when you file the complaint. They don't know that you're compiling this paper trail, okay? Through your questions. They don't know that's what you're doing. As a matter of fact, I just had to tell a guy over here in Pennsylvania that told me about compliance. Compliance, idiot. I just had to tell him. He said, what I was doing is I was sending him an email, and I got tired of him, so I included his boss on it. So we go to have a meeting, and he says to me, well, you do realize that even when you send an email to my boss, she just refers back to me. I said, yes, I do. He said, so, there's no reason for you to do that. I said, oh, yes, there is. It's called a paper trail. That's me creating a paper trail. Now, right now, he's finding out why that paper trail was so important. And if I have to go to a hearing with this numbnut, he's really going to find out what it is all about. Okay? Paper trail is how you CYA. Cover your hiney. Okay? That's what asking questions does. Ask the questions. There's no right question and there's no wrong question. Just ask it anyway. If it comes in your head, let it come out of your mouth. That's what I do. They don't like it, but that's what I do. You see, we are laymen. I don't work in their field. I'm an advocate for children with disabilities. I know a lot of stuff, but I'm not a trained teacher. I'm not a trained psychologist. I have a degree in psychology. There's a big difference. Having a degree in psychology and being a psychologist, two different things. Okay? So I know a lot about the disciplines and what they're supposed to do. Just like when I get my degree, and I have a master's degree, and when I get my master's, it'll be a specialization in ABA. However, I have no intentions of moving forward with that and becoming a BCBA. It's way too much. I'm too old. Too old. But what I know is what a BCBA is supposed to do. Okay? What I know is why they're supposed to do it. I have half of my training. The only part of my training I don't have is actually working with a kid. That's the other half. That's another year. 1,500 hours or 2,200. I forgot what it is, but it's somewhere around there, or it's going to be pretty soon. So that's the only part I don't have. Everything else I have. And by the way, I aced all my courses in this master's degree program specializing in ABA. One of which was ethics. Yeah, ethics. Which a lot of people completely lose when they sign a contract to work for the public school system. They just lose their minds and they say, Pshaw with ethics. We don't need them. I don't need integrity. What do I need integrity for? I work for the state now. I don't need integrity. I don't need character. I don't need to have moral standing. I don't have to have a moral compass. None of that. None of it. Now, that's not to say everybody's like that. Everybody isn't. However, there's a lot that are. Lots and lots of them. And those are the ones we seem to be dealing with all the time. Okay? They lie. My sister told me this and I love it. And I've heard it before. But my sister told me this and she said, some people will climb a tree to lie rather than stand on the ground and tell the truth. Isn't that like... I mean, we should all just breathe when we say that. That's just a wonderful saying. Because that's exactly what school districts do. The administrators of schools, the school superintendent, the special ed director, everybody at the state level does it. They would rather climb a tree, go completely out of their way to lie, when it would be just so much easier just to stand on the ground and tell the truth. But this is what we're dealing with. And that's why you ask the questions. And I'm telling you, you ask enough questions and they will bury themselves every single time. Because you can only tell so many lies before your lies come back to bite you. Okay? Before you've come full circle. And ta-da, gotcha. That's why I was asking all those questions, because I knew I was right. So I just keep asking the questions. Okay? When it comes to your kid, if they're telling you, we want to put your kid in RTI. This happens a lot. They want to put your kid in RTI. Okay. We need your consent. Okay. So, why you want to put my kid in RTI? Well, he's having a problem reading, blah, 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 blah. Really? This is the first I'm hearing of it. Is there a special reason why you kept that a secret the entire school year? Why didn't you tell me this sooner? Well, we thought this and we thought, okay. Let's just stop the shenanigans. Why don't you tell me what you have that you came to this conclusion that my kid needs RTI? And there's a reason why I'm telling you to ask these questions. You're going to find out in a minute. Okay? So you look at them and you say, what documentation do you have to support that my son needs RTI reading? What do you have? Well, I have my grade book. Your grade book? Your grade book? That's just a bunch of numbers on a piece of paper. It doesn't say what assignment it was. I've never seen it. It's a bunch of assignments that never came home. So you're telling me that my kid is doing so poorly that he needs this? And how is it impacting his learning? See, that's a question. And that's a hard one for them if they're saying that your kid needs RTI. Okay, so now you say, how is it impacting his learning in school, since this is the first I've heard of it? What's the problem for him? If he doesn't get it, what could happen? Well, he's gonna have difficulty comprehending some things, and as he goes through school and it gets more and more complicated, the work becomes more complex, yada, 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 yada. Okay, good. Really? And so you really think he needs RTI and it could benefit him? Could you send me a description of what the program is and a link to what program you're using so that I can see it myself? Because I'm 99% sure I can actually purchase the program so I can help you guys out while my son's taking it in school. We can practice at home too using the same stuff that you're using. How about that? And it's not going to make sense. So you put all of this in writing. Put all of this in writing after you have a conversation with them. When you have the conversation, you put all of this in the email, what your conversation was about. You put it all in writing. Then you tell them that you want a description of the program. You want all of this information, okay? They're going to have a problem. And then you tell them you want all the documents that chick or person relied on to come to these conclusions. Then they're going to give you some fluff, and it's not going to make sense. I want you guys to think about this. It's not going to make any sense, because the last question that you're going to ask them is, are you saying that you suspect my kid is as having a disability? He's having a problem with reading and reading comprehension? Is that what you're telling me? And you're telling me, how long is this going to be? See, these are the questions you have to ask them. How long is this class going to be? Is it a class? Yes. Does the whole class take it at the same time? No. They're going to say it's just a small group of kids in a class. Oh, how many? 4 or 5. Oh, okay, good. And where is it going to be? It's going to be in another setting. Oh, okay. What class is he going to miss if he's going to another setting during his regular ed classroom? Oh, he's going to miss science. Oh, okay, good. So how is he making up that science class if he's going to reading with a small group outside of his regular ed classroom? Oh, what? Or they might actually say, what's going to happen is, we're going to shorten his classroom. Oh, you are? Oh, okay. You're going to shorten it. You shortening it for all of the kids in the school? No. So just my son? No, we're going to do it for all the kids that are doing it. Oh, okay. Could you put all of this in writing, please? I need this for my records. They're going to have a problem with that because it's illegal. They can't do that. Okay, they can't unless you give them consent. But if you consent to that, you're cray-cray. You're just as cray-cray as they are. Okay? And the only reason why, if you know what I just told you, if you still sign the consent after what I just told you, you're cray-cray. And your kid isn't going to learn anything, because the first thing what they've admitted during all that conversation that we just had, what they have just admitted is that they believe your child is a child with a disability. They suspect it. What they have to do is they have to implement child find. That's what they have to implement. Okay? And when they have to implement that, so first they identified your kid as a child with a disability, or a child they suspect as having a disability. And they told you all of this information, how they came to their conclusion. They based it on his work. Perfect. Okay? And it's been going on for a while. Perfect. And they're going to pull your kid out of his regular ed class and put him in a separate setting. It's so bad he can't even do it in the same classroom. Okay? You're going to take all that information and you're going to tell them, I want my kid evaluated pursuant to the IDEA evaluation regulations. Do you understand me? I want my kid evaluated. I don't want my kid in RTI. I'm not signing that paper. And if you put my kid in it, I'm going to report you to OCR for violating my kid's rights. Do you understand me? And that's another thing. There's no such thing as putting a kid on a Section 504 plan without an evaluation. Any moron that does that is violating Section 504 regulations, because they say the same thing that IDEA says. You have to identify, you have to locate, and you have to evaluate before you put a kid on a plan. That's what the law says. There's no stepping around it. There's not a workaround. It is what it is. And any idiot that put a kid on a Section 504 plan without a thorough evaluation, that included the WISC, the WIATs, all of those evaluations, not the school district's opinion. No. No opinions. Okay? No teachers' assessments. We need valid and reliable, technically sound instruments, even for a Section 504. Anything less is a violation. Period. This is why you ask questions. You see what happened? We started with RTI, with a proposal from a school district to a parent saying, we want to put your kid in RTI. And then the parent asked questions. Why, what for, how come? What are you relying on? Until the bottom question, and then we found out that what they suspect is that your child may have a disability, and rather than refer your child for special education evaluation, they want to put your kid in RTI. And I don't know any kids that have a chronic disability such as dyslexia or any other reading disability, or who has the learning disabilities. Okay, I don't know any kid that has learning disabilities that took RTI and was successful and went down instead of up, ever. Matter of fact, I know a few kids that went into it at tier 1, went all the way up to tier 3, turned right back around and started all over again. Yeah, I know schools that have done that. So this is what you have to do. You have to ask questions. Okay? I want you guys to ask me questions. Okay? I want to thank you guys for listening. And I'm going to put some information on the bottom of the screen, and it's going to be about the questions that you can copy and paste into an email when a school district asks you to put your kid on RTI, when they ask you to put your kid on a Section 504, or when you ask them something and they tell you no. I'm going to post these questions on the bottom of the screen in the description so that you guys know what to do and the law that it corresponds to. Okay? So I just wanted to do this real quick. I'm hoping to do this like every day. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try real hard. If it comes out good, then wonderful. If not, I'll just keep trying until I figure out something. But for now, this is what I'm going to do. Ask me any questions you want on the bottom of this video. And please, 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 please subscribe to my channel. And if you hit that notification bell, okay, you will be notified every single time I post a video. Okay, so you're not going to miss anything. These are going to be within 20 to 30 minutes just to pop in and say how you doing. I hope everybody's doing great. I hope you're all protecting yourselves and being safe. Okay, just because it's green does not mean Corona went away. It didn't go away because it's green. Okay, the green colored thing doesn't have anything to do with the actual virus. It's still there, contrary to popular belief. Okay, I can prove it. There's 120,000 people dead right now in the United States, and it's growing every day. So, and hospitals are full to capacity down south, you know, in Texas. So I know it's real. Just protect yourself, okay? Be safe, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow around the same time. But like I said, share, like, follow. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so we can talk some more. Put some questions down there and I'll answer them tomorrow in my next video, okay? Thanks a lot for coming, you guys. I really appreciate it.